What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another update on transfer deadline day. And before we get into it, let's talk about a few deals that have been confirmed officially. Starting off with Sergio Reguilon, as you can see on screen now. That's him signing for Manchester United with Erik ten Hag. And Spurs have put out Sergio Reguilon has joined Manchester United on loan for the remainder of the 22-24 season. Good luck, Sergi. But that's not exactly entirely true, considering as there is a break clause in the contract for January, which I do imagine will probably meet if Luke Shaw's all right by then.
Yeah, but they've also got Malacia injured, so depends on that situation for Man United. But yeah, look, there's no loan fee apparently. There's they're covering the wages. That's pretty much all that's happening. So he's gone on loan. We've kind of done them a favour to allow them to fill in that left-back spot while they've got a couple of players injured. I guess it suits Tottenham because he's out the door. It's another foreign player out the squad for the time being. So it's I guess on the face of it, it's a deal that suits all parties, but I guess objectively you could say we're definitely doing United a bit of a favour here.
Yeah, I mean, depends how highly you rate Reguilon, but it does give them a left-back option, but I'm just not sure how good he's going to be for them. And he is going to be in the squad for this weekend against Arsenal, and his first job is to defend against Bukayo Saka, so we'll see how that goes down for him. But another official deal is Japhet Tanganga, who has joined Augsburg, and the official statement says Tanganga has joined Bundesliga side Augsburg on loan for the remainder of the season, with a conditional obligation to buy to make the deal permanent next summer. Good luck to Japhet Tanganga.
Yeah, and apparently one of the clauses is that Augsburg have to stay in the Bundesliga as well. It's like a relegation clause as well. So if they stay up, or if he plays a certain amount of games, it makes it permanent. I hope he does well there. I'll be keeping a keen eye on him, see how he does over in Augsburg. But I wish him all the best. It's his first loan move. Hopefully, it's his first chance to get some regular first-team football. So, all the best.
All right, well, let's get into some potential dealings from now until the end of the deadline, 11 p.m. And let's talk about Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. A lot of conflicting reports going on about Emil Hojbjerg at the moment. Matt Barlow says that Pierre has turned down a move to Fulham, and his reluctance to leave could affect Spurs in their pursuit of Chelsea's Conor Gallagher. Fabrizio Romano says that Atletico Madrid have already presented a verbal proposal for Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg on loan with a buy clause. Deal currently complicated as initial proposal not matching Tottenham's expectations, but Atletico Madrid are still on it. Then he went on with another update and says, at current conditions of Atletico Madrid opening verbal bid for Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, deal will not happen as it's not enough to convince Spurs. Jason Burt says Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg has turned down a move from Tottenham to Fulham, but talks are ongoing, deal not dead. Then he went on to say that as things stands, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg will reject a loan move to Atletico Madrid, which absolutely bemused me, to be honest. And Mate Moretto says that Tottenham believe that a move from Atletico for Hojbjerg could arrive in the last hours of the market now that Atletico have had some departures. And John Cross says that Hojbjerg rejected Fulham because he wants to join Atletico Madrid. So who are you going to believe?
I think, look, considering we're still negotiating, I think all parties want this deal to be done, I think.
Hojbjerg wanted to get
I think so. I think he rejects probably Atletico because he probably wants the permanent move, I'm assuming, and not just a low move. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm going to assume.
But they're saying Spurs won't accept it unless there's an obligation to buy him.
Correct. So that's why he wants a permanent move.
So, I mean, but the case is Hojbjerg is going to accept the deal because the only deal that's going to be accepted is an obligation to buy. So Hojbjerg rejecting Atletico just doesn't make sense to me.
Because they haven't put the obligation in.
Yeah, but then there's no offer to accept or reject.
Yeah, I don't understand that update that Hojbjerg is rejecting them. It doesn't make sense to me. But I would have to assume it's because the conditions aren't right, and maybe Spurs haven't accepted the move anyway. Anyway, I do think all parties want this move. I think it makes sense for everyone. Hojbjerg gets a good move to Atletico. Atletico have got some outgoings out the door now in Carrasco and João Felix, and they have a bit of money to potentially put towards the Hojbjerg deal. We want to go get Conor Gallagher. So as long as that's staying in negotiations and negotiations still on, I think this move is probably likely to happen. That's what I would predict.
I hope so, but I don't know. It seems like a really hard deal for some sort of reason. Atletico don't seem to be wanting an obligation to buy in there. That's the sticking point for Tottenham. We're hearing completely conflicting reports saying Hojbjerg doesn't want to join Atletico. He does want to join Atletico. He's definitely don't want to join Fulham. That's what we know for sure. But I don't know, this deal just seems very hard to do. But there is still quite a while left of the deadline. What was it, 6 hours to go? So I guess we'll see how it progresses over the next few hours. But I really hope that a deal can get done. And I would find it very strange that Hojbjerg would reject a move to Atletico, even if it was just a loan deal without an obligation. I don't see Spurs accepting that, but I don't know why Hojbjerg would reject that, even if Spurs were to accept it.
Neither do I, to be honest. I think it's very strange. I think it represents a really good opportunity for Hojbjerg to go to a top club who'll be playing Champions League football and a club that probably suits his style of play as well. So I don't understand why he wouldn't want to go there. I think Atletico have been waiting for a few outgoings. We've heard that a lot throughout the summer. They've now seemed to have happened. So I reckon it's just a bit of posturing from both sides. And I reckon both sides want this deal to happen. And I think at the end, Atletico will probably stump up the money.
Let's hope so. And in terms of Conor Gallagher, Simon Joe says that Tottenham have made a verbal offer up to £40 million, including add-ons for Chelsea's Conor Gallagher. Nazar Kinsella saying that Chelsea have received the verbal offer of £40 million for Gallagher. The offer falls short of Chelsea's near £50 million asking price, but all parties believe a deal can be struck in certain circumstances.
Yeah, and that circumstances is if Tottenham pay enough money, essentially. I don't see what else it could be than just Tottenham stumping up the cash. So it's a deal I would be really excited about. I think he's a really good central midfielder who would really fit into one of Postecoglou's number 8 positions. He would give us a bit more offensive ability in there and a bit more ability in and around the penalty area for goals and assists and potentially long-range shooting as well. I think I really like him as a player. I think off the ball, he's a willing runner, always performs really well in his defensive metrics. I think he's a better fit than PM or Hojbjerg. It just confuses me why Chelsea would be willing to deal with us and let him go, and why Conor would be willing to come here. But if those things can be sorted, then I think this deal can be done, and I'll be very excited about it. And I think it makes sense to sell Hojbjerg and bring him in.
There's another update from Rahman Osborne of London World.com, a football writer for them, and he says, keep an eye on Conor Gallagher. Tottenham will bid for him once Hojbjerg completes the deal with Fulham or Atletico, and that will be done once Palhinha completes his move to Bayern Munich. So he still thinks that Hojbjerg is still open to going to Fulham.
Yeah, but yeah, and I'm just hoping that Hojbjerg can get sorted. I look, Fulham, it's not a bad club as much as maybe it's below Hojbjerg's expectations. I think like he shouldn't turn his nose up at Fulham if that's the only offer on the table and Tottenham want him out. But we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I still think this Atletico one is the one to concentrate on.
Yeah, I hope so. But hopefully something can get done in the coming hours in terms of Conor Gallagher and Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. Doesn't seem to be any real talk over the past couple of hours about centre-backs, which is very worrying in terms of nothing about Dyer, nothing about Sanchez. And the last we heard about Lloyd Kelly was that we had a bid rejected and Spurs were getting another bid ready, but that doesn't seem to have materialised. And no other centre-backs as well have been talked about. Is that worrying you?
A bit. A lot, I should say, actually, not a bit. We definitely need centre-backs through the door, and we're staring in the face the possibility of Dyer and Sanchez being our backup centre-backs for at least the first half of the season. That's not a situation we should have been in, especially given that we had a lot of time to bring in another centre-back and get these moves out the door. We shouldn't have been relying on the last few hours of the window to sort all these situations out, and now we're at risk of having that situation where one injury to Romero and Van de Ven, and you struggle to see how our backline's going to cope.
Well, let's finish off talking about Brennan Johnson, our shiny new signing. We got the Here We Go from Fabrizio Romano earlier today. David Ornstein has just shed some more light on the deal. He says Brennan Johnson will sign a 5-year deal with an option to extend for a further 12 months at Tottenham. The fee Tottenham have agreed to pay Nottingham Forest for Brennan Johnson is actually £47.5 million fixed with no add-ons, including the deal will also be a 10% sell-on clause. Tottenham trade the Wales international attacker at a later date. If Tottenham trade the him at a later date.
Yeah, 10%. So it's not bad. That's not bad for Nottingham Forest. They've got a good price and they've got a sell-on clause on top of that as well. They've done very well to get him in, although they are losing potentially their best player, you could argue, especially so late in the window. But they are getting Sangare, which is, I mean, he's not a like-for-like replacement because they're completely different positions. But in terms of just making up for the quality in the team, it's pretty good for them. But I'm excited about Brennan Johnson being in a Spurs shirt. I think he gives us something in the forward line we don't have, which is pace and ability to get to the byline and go on the outside of your fullback. I think he offers us different ways of attacking kind of different games as well. It makes us more unpredictable. I do think he's a bit raw. He probably needs some refining and a lot of things like his first touch and maybe his a few skills, his ability to beat his fullback when space is a bit restricted. But I think he still has a lot of qualities to contribute, like his unbelievable pace, and I think he's got really good finishing ability. He's already shown that in the Premier League. So I think it's an exciting deal. It's not maybe a deal that after we sold Harry Kane and I told you, yeah, we're going to get Brennan Johnson, you probably wouldn't have been jumping for joy. But I do think in terms of where the squad is at, in terms of the forward line, it's a deal that does make sense. He can cover both positions. He's versatile. And I think he's got scope to grow as well. And that's the most exciting bit.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at the business of the players that Spurs have brought in, I think he kind of complements them well. I think him and Maddison could strike up a really good relationship. I like the feeling of him and Porro on one side. I mean, how much speed is there on that right-hand side if him and Porro played together? So I think it's a move that can really help our front three as well. So I'm very positive about it. I know a lot of Spurs fans are quite negative about it, but I think once they see him play and what he can bring to Tottenham Hotspur, as well as how much he can grow in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt as well, I think it's a really positive signing. We'll just have to see how the rest of the transfer window does play out. But that we have got the here we go from Brennan Johnson. Do we think that there's going to be more movement late in the later stages of this day?
I've got a feeling the Hojbjerg Gallagher swap will happen, but I'm just less confident about a centre back at this point.
I mean, I'd so much prefer to bring in a centre back over Conor Gallagher. That's the honest truth about it. But I'm not gonna, turn my nose up at Conor Gallagher and selling Hojbjerg because I think it's a good decision. But if you would have asked me if I can bring in just one player from now to the end of the window, it would be a centre back.
Yeah, I agree. Gallagher would be just like a nice, should be like a nice cherry on top of a good window where you get a chance to upgrade your midfield, where maybe you still got some good midfielders there, but you just get a little chance to upgrade it when you can. So that would be nice, but centre back is definitely the position we're in most need of, and it's a real concern that at the moment we're sitting here at 5 o'clock on deadline day, and there's no sign of a centre back coming, and that's got to be a big concern.
Yeah. All right, so there you have it. That is your Tottenham update. I'm sure we'll be back for more updates throughout the day, and I'm sure we'll go live again at some point before the deadline. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.